What's up, my fellow small business supporters? It's Savvy. Welcome back to Savvy Writes Books. Today we have a very special video because today is not only a collab, but it is also a video that's been requested a few times, and it's also a video that I had put as an option on a Patreon poll, so I hope that you all really enjoy this. Now, a couple months ago, I had gotten some DMs from a few people on Instagram talking to me about Marie Forleo, who, if you don't know, she is a business coach. She runs B School, which costs $2,000 and it's 8 weeks long, and you're supposed to learn how to basically start and fully run your entire online business. I've heard very mixed reviews on Marie Forleo. I've heard a lot of people saying they like her because she's really informative and because she has a strong business education and a lot of experience and really knows what she's talking about. And then I've heard a lot of people say, no, she really started this huge craze of everyone selling courses all the time. She really, fed into the nonstop hustle culture. She really turned herself basically into one of these business guru boss babe types. This past summer, I was sent a few videos and screenshots and things regarding Marie's Facebook group that comes along with the B School program. And when I was sent that, it was clear that there were a lot of really problematic things going on with Marie trying to censor what people were allowed to say in her Facebook group, halting conversation in favor of her not wanting to have to moderate. So there was just really a lot going on, and I wanted to dive into all of it. And so I put up a poll on my Patreon saying, which of these videos would you like to see? And actually, I think the one that won was a deep dive on Robert Kiyosaki, so that one is still coming. I'm still working on that. But a lot of votes also went to a video saying a deep dive on Marie Forleo. And then I got a DM on Patreon from Marin Emily, who is one of my Patreon supporters, and her own business is linked in the description below. And she was saying that she actually attended the entire B School course that Marie Forleo put out and gave it a 1-star review. She thought it was not worth the money whatsoever. And then I had also been talking to Cam, if you guys remember her. She's also a commentary YouTuber. Her channel's linked in the description below. And we'd collabed in the past talking about Rachel Hollis and Shane Dawson and doing podcast reviews and things like that. So we have collabed on videos in the past. But recently we'd been talking about, like, what if we did a deep dive on Marie Forleo, because we both had a lot of opinions about her, and she was actually a former fan of Marie's who had been reading her books and things like that. And we were like, yeah, let's do this collab. So all the pieces kind of fell into place, and today we are going to be diving deep into Marie Forleo, who she is, things about her business and its structure, some of the shadier things she's been getting involved in lately, and just kind of talking about, what her impact is on the business world. So get ready, guys. We're gonna dive on in.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.
Hey everybody, I am here today with Cam. A lot of you guys know her. I know a lot of people who watch my channel also watch her channel because I've had comments about this. We've covered a lot of the same topics in the past. We've both talked about, like, classically Abby and her weird views of women's bodies. We've talked about Rachel Hollis's book, Didn't See That Coming. So we've both kind of covered a lot of the same things on both of our channels, and so that's why we love doing these collabs together. We have collabed together once before. I'll link it up in the cards if you guys want to check that out, where we talked about curated imperfection. Today we are going to be doing another business guru expose, deep dive, somewhat roast kind of video.
Yes, so I'm Cam. I'm pretty sure that most of you already know me, if maybe not even subscribed to me. Gosh. Yeah, so I am one of these people who has been surprised by all the backlash that Marie Forleo has been getting, because I've been a fan. So, and I still kind of low-key really like her. So I'm really just a little bit heartbroken, to be honest. But yeah, I feel like it's important to just kind of talk about these things because, like, there's just like such a fine line between what is this kind of self-help online business teaching guru thing and then just plain scamming people. So I feel like Maria has been kind of walking this line, but we weren't necessarily that aware of it. And yeah, I think it's important to talk about it.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I've heard from you and I've heard from a lot of other people, right, that they were fans of Marie Forleo or that they liked her work. And for me, like, I never knew that much about her. My first impression of her was actually negative. So I had just gone into this assuming she was a Grant Cardone type and that kind of thing, because the first things I'd heard about her were when this craze of selling courses and selling classes and coaching services for everything, when that started infiltrating the author world. A lot of what I heard was that a lot of these people who had created these things had studied under Marie Forleo, and that Marie Forleo was kind of like the queen of business courses, that she had started this craze of like, everybody should be able to get a business coach, make a 6-figure course, all this stuff. And so I was immediately like, I don't think I like her. But then I was hearing from a lot of people that, you know, she was okay and that her work was all right. So I guess when you first became a fan of her, what was it that drew you into her, or what was it that, you know, appealed about her work?
So I think I know about B School, and I think very, very briefly considered it before, but it was so brief because I didn't even know it was just for online stuff. And I was kind of thinking of, I was just a freelancer, and I was kind of thinking of maybe kind of having like a fully fledged company type thing. So when I realized that she was only talking about online, it was just not for me. So yeah, it was just not necessarily like an actual consideration, but you know what I mean? I was just kind of looking at this and I was like, oh, maybe this could be quite good. But the way I found Maria was through YouTube. She has a YouTube channel, and she has really good videos. She gives business advice. She gives motivational advice, but it's very kind of engaging in the sense that she's very funny. She has little skits in every, well, almost every video.
Oh, that's
and
fun.
She actually does give really good advice.
Okay.
So it's like, that's why I feel kind of heartbroken, because I know that her advice is quite solid. She studied business at university, and she had been like a valedictorian, and then she basically decided to, she started working on Wall Street, and she realized that she didn't enjoy, it wasn't kind of her calling. And then she started working in kind of a big magazine anyway. She started working in the admin kind of business side of that, and then she realized that wasn't her calling. And then she basically got the opportunity to promote, and this was all at the same time when she kind of found out about life coaching, and she basically just kind of realized that's what she wants to do. But she was 23 at the time, so she was like, oh, nobody's going to listen to a 23-year-old life coach. And then when she had this opportunity to be promoted, she basically said that this was her fork in the road and she had to make a decision. So she just quit her job and she didn't take the promotion, and she basically started bartending and doing her life coach business on the side. So she did this for 7 years until she could actually sustain her career just from this. And then at one point she also was a dancer, so she was doing all this kind of like at the same time. So she's actually quite smart, and she's very like honest. Aside from B School, you know, her advice on YouTube and stuff is very solid, so you actually do have a reason to read her emails and to kind of watch her videos. And I guess that's why I was interested.
Yeah, well, I'll say I did a video, Business Guru Tier Rankings, and I like, obviously I put like Tony Robbins and Dan Locke and guys like that in the F tier, being like, these guys suck, like they're awful. And you know, you look at someone like Tony Robbins, who started motivational speaking when he was 17, when he had no career experience. So, you know, why is he coaching people and giving people career advice when his whole career has just been motivating people and giving them advice. It's like he doesn't really have any experience or industry knowledge to back it up. He's just like he really just gets people motivated, I guess. But, you know, you look at someone like Marie, yeah, she looks like maybe she's a better option because she does have that education. She does have a lot of work experience. She's clearly very good at a lot of her jobs, especially if she was, you know, this successful by age 23 and then made a career shift. Like, it seems like she kind of knows what she's doing to an extent.
Yeah. Now, this is not necessarily a job at Marie, but the life coaching in general, I don't know if this is what it was always like, because she got on board when it was like really early on, like the 90s, I think. So, you know, it wasn't such a big scammy business, I suppose. At the time it was very new. In this book, actually, and everything is figure outable, she says at one point that somebody sold her, somebody wanted to go to her conference so bad that she sold her couch to buy a ticket. So you can tell that it's an audience of people who are kind of financially vulnerable. So the idea of charging people who are so financially vulnerable, even though they might take it more seriously just because they paid for it, I still don't agree with that sentiment. I feel like that's not quite a good product. I mean, obviously it is, because they have such a gigantic audience, but at the same time, it seems a bit predatory to me.
I agree. I think there's a predatory element to it, especially like it's that whole somewhat, I guess it's somewhat related to toxic positivity, where it's like, you know, if you want this thing bad enough, you have to invest in yourself. You have to make it happen for you. And it's like this prioritize yourself thing, but it's really emotionally manipulative, because prioritize yourself from a business guru perspective means prioritize yourself by paying for the thing I'm selling you. And we've seen that a lot. And I've noticed that with, like, you know, all of these people have conferences. You know, Marie has conference, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Rachel Hollis, they all have conferences. And their conferences are all expensive. And I remember watching Tony Robbins's documentary on Netflix, and there was a lady in there who was like, I sold all my furniture to be able to attend this, because it was a $5,000 conference. So she sold her furniture, and then when she was there, she told the story of how she had grown up in the Children of God cult. And it was like someone who, you know, their life started out in a cult type environment has now found Tony Robbins, who's also a cult type of person, and was willing to sell all their furniture to go to him. It's just like, it's clear that this is very predatory on people's insecurities and on people's financial struggles and everything.
Yeah. And there's always some sort of indoctrination, right? It's like every book or every podcast, self-help type, they always start with, oh, you don't want a miserable average life, you don't want to be there for your family, you want to do this. So they're kind of indoctrinating you. They're like, if you have a family, but you also have a job that requires you not to be with your family, therefore you should be unhappy about that. Therefore, you should seek me out, because I can help you with this unhappiness that I've just created for you. So that's kind of, and that's the same with the financial side, right? Like, oh, don't be afraid to invest in yourself, because, you know, every business, you know, requires some sort of initial investment, blah, blah, blah. And like, it's, yeah, sure, but this is an investment. This is you're not you're not getting anything in return. Like, well, I suppose you're getting motivation in return, but motivation is really not enough of a product to cost thousands.
I agree. I think that motivation is essentially worthless, because if you are in a place where you're struggling to get motivated, you're struggling to commit to your goals and things like that, generally I would recommend going to like a licensed therapist, because there might be some kind of, or I mean, maybe it's depression, maybe it's not, maybe it's just you know, a general lack of motivation, but I don't know. I feel like That's just my opinion. Anyone out there who has gotten value out of motivational speakers, like, you know, live your life and be happy. I'm not telling you not to do it.
They even say, like, so many times, I'm sure you've heard this, that motivation is fleeting and you should do it anyway. It's like, but that's what you're selling, though.
It's, that's the two things, like motivation and ideas. Ideas are also worthless. In the world of business, everything is about execution. So if you're motivated and you have great ideas, that's awesome. But it's not going to be physically or financially worth anything if you don't sit down and use your hands to create the thing. Like, you have to physically and mentally do the thing and accomplish it. Otherwise, And I think that that's a lot of what's missing, is like when I've sought out advice from business gurus in the past, it's been like, okay, I need advice because I'm not good at marketing, or I'm not good at like making sales. Like, what is your best advice about how to do this? What words to say? What things to type into the computer? What should I do? And that's what and then at the end of the day, I leave being like, well, I know, like, you told me I could do it, but I already knew I could do it. I just need help with the education about how to. So,
and you are getting personalized advice to your situation, while these people, if you are one of 1,000 in the audience at a conference, this advice is not for you and for your situation and your business in particular. This advice is designed to be general and to be applicable by anyone. Therefore, it's really not applicable by anyone, if that makes sense. Basically, just because the advice is too general, you won't necessarily be that able to apply it to your situation.
So Marie Forleo, I guess her big thing is B School, which is like her big coaching program. It's $2,000 and it's like 8 weeks long, and that's where she's going to teach you everything you need to know about starting and running your business. Shout out to Marin Emilee. She is, her website is actually linked in the description below, not just of this video, of all my videos, because she's one of my Patreon supporters. So Marin is just awesome. Yeah, so Marin Emilee runs this website called learnwithmarin.com, and she had gone to Marie Forleo's B School program when she was first starting out with, you know, trying to create her own business. And she messaged me on Patreon right after she joined and was like, if you ever are making a video on Marie Forleo, hit me up. And I was like, well, wouldn't you know it, I am. And she was like, I put out a 1-star review. So like on Marie Forleo's website, right, it's like, oh, see all the testimonials here, but it's not all of them. It's only the positive ones.
Of course. Of course.
So there's nowhere you can actually just go. It's not like Amazon where people just leave all the reviews, like, right? Like there's no real website for Marie's course where you could just see all the reviews in one place. So I appreciate that Marin posted this on her website so that we can read her honest, non-affiliate review of B School. So her main criticism, it says, this course was very simple, in my opinion. It feels as though Marie does the bare minimum. I guess when you sign up for the course, you get the bonuses of, she signed up through Amy.
So this is one of the things that when I kind of started to get an idea that there's something wrong, this is one of the things that I came across. The fact that they have a lot of undisclosed, what are they called? Affiliations. Mm-hmm. For example, Amy Porterfield, I suppose this one is disclosed, but like there was a lot of Chris Carr, I think it was either B School that she was pushing or the book, I'm not sure. And I know they're pals and stuff like that, but she's also in kind of a similar type niche, and they kind of push each other's projects. And people think there's an affiliation, but they're not saying. They're just saying, oh my God, I love this. But actually they're affiliated, therefore they make money if they just get people to sign up. So this Amy Porterfield bit here reminded me of that, but it's interesting that they do that. But actually it's not even that surprising, because you always see this, there's always a group, right? There's always what's her name, Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Marie Forleo, Jenna Kutcher, Rachel Hollis. They are like, you see pictures of them together.
And
I
then-
read this review, and then she says that she thought, I think it's a line at the end, she says the course should cost around $200, not $2,000, and that's kind of sad, to be honest.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with, like, when I've been to this website for Marin, who wrote this review, her courses that she sells are about $50. Like, they're not these expensive, thousands of dollars courses. But yeah, it's all about how much material is in them. The problem is that, like, online courses are a legitimate thing, right? Like, you can go to college online, you can learn from experts online. The problem is that when every business guru decides that running an online course is what they should be doing, it doesn't like follow any pedagogical theories. It doesn't follow anything regarding like how coursework should look or how, it ends up being a lot more like just them throwing information at you, which may or may not be valuable. I just want to be clear that I don't have anything against people who sell online courses if they're doing it in a legitimate way. I know that like online pedagogy and online teaching and things like that are very legitimate, especially during a pandemic where we can't really go in and take in-person classes for things. So I have nothing against people who teach online courses. I think it can be great as long as what you're doing makes sense and is not exploiting people. If you want to sell online courses and you're not like it's not part of a like affiliated with a school or anything, I would see like look at it more like classes that you might take at a community center, but online, because we're in a pandemic. Like you could go to a community center and take a cooking class, or you could go and take a class about like learning to dance or something. So if people want to teach something that they're good at like that online, that's fine. But I'd say, try to make the prices comparable to like a community center amateur class or something, as opposed to like the price that you would pay to get actually certified in this. I noticed that one of the big, and this review goes really in depth about it, and so do a couple others, one of the big pieces of drama that finally came to light about Marie Forleo, she seemed to be flying under the radar as fairly unproblematic until the Facebook group drama happened. So apparently when you join, or not anymore, but when you joined B School in the past, one of the benefits of it was that you got to join the Facebook group. And the Facebook group had like 30,000 people in it. And these people were all also students of Marie Forleo who would talk to each other about their specifics of their businesses, share advice, share tips. And they kind of grew their business network to all of these thousands of people. And Marie Forleo never said that the Facebook group was like officially a part of the course. It was more of like a free benefit, like free because you paid for the course, but like a side benefit that you got in addition to it. But a lot of people, like the Facebook group became such a powerful place that a lot of people were starting to join the course wanting the Facebook group as one of the main things that they gained from it. But then this past summer, the Facebook group fell totally apart. And so in this review, she says, additionally, one of the reasons I signed up for the course was the Facebook community. The group took a turn for the worse over the summer, and it was eventually turned over to the students, and Marie stepped down from it. Not exactly the supportive environment I was expecting. And a lot of that was because of the way that the group handled or neglected to handle discussions revolving around COVID-19 and around the Black Lives Matter movement. Marie Forleo, I guess, was just not really prepared to have serious discussions in her group. But the fact is, like, even if this is solely a business advice group, serious things happening in the world are going to affect the way that you look at your business and the way that you interact with people and everything. So these discussions cannot be ignored. And that's especially what she talks about here. It's like, to the best of my memory, we weren't allowed to talk about COVID outside of one dedicated thread in an effort to decrease the spread of misinformation. I completely understand how difficult it must have been for the admins. However, Marie teaches how to have a purpose-driven business inside the course, and most of what the community wanted to discuss was how to appropriately run a business during the pandemic. Many of us in the group wanted to talk about how to help the situation with our business and not continue with the same old marketing tactics that suddenly sounded tone deaf in the midst of a pandemic. We weren't spreading misinformation or conspiracy theories, or most of us weren't. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I had to completely change everything I did with my business when the pandemic hit. So I can't imagine like running your business, the pandemic hits, you weren't allowed to talk about it in the group because it referenced COVID, and Marie just didn't want to moderate that. That seems like a huge detriment. Yeah.
Well, although I suppose to some extent, because the business was already, the course is already about online businesses, I suppose to some extent, you know, if anything, it's online businesses that are thriving in a pandemic. So I guess maybe, but at the same time, I do find it strange that you're just censoring people and they're not. Because obviously, I'm sure that people created connections and friends and stuff like that. And if they want to chat in the group, I don't see why not. Except for obviously misinformation being spread, but like just delete those. You don't have to delete everything.
So it says, then when the Black Lives Matter movement picked up momentum in May and June following the death of George Floyd, it is my feeling that the group became mismanaged. There were fights breaking out in the comments, little guidance from admins, and many members of color even expressed that they felt they were being silenced in the group. Then the group was archived during much of the week, so that the discussion wouldn't continue without heavy moderation. There were very limited hours where we could post and get business questions answered, and often by the time posts got approved, the group had been shut down again, and we didn't get answers to our questions. I understand again how difficult it must have been for the admins to navigate this. However, I do not feel it was handled well. As Marie ultimately stepped down from the group, we were to have the lifetime of the course, which is still running, access to. Now the group still exists as a legacy group completely run by students. And so Marin, who wrote this review, had actually left the group before Marie stepped down because she didn't want to be in it. And then when she tried to rejoin, she couldn't because Marie had stepped down and the group didn't admit new members at that point. So she's not in the group anymore.
This is, this is what I came across when I was doing research. And I think we're going to watch that video by Rachel
there's
Regius.
A lot of stuff about, so there's this video, Rachel, you sent me this, and a few other people actually sent me this too. This video from Rachel Rogers, who is, she's a student of Marie Forleo's.
What happened is Marie Forleo has a Facebook group with 31,000 B School alumni in it, right? These are all people that have purchased her course, okay? And, you know, obviously, I'm sure from all walks of life, I'm sure there is lots of diversity in that group. And I know that there's a lot of women of color and Black women in that group, okay? And they were having discussions. You know why? Because Black people are hurting right now. Her response was, she's sickened and she did an IG post, right? But if we're gonna be coaches and we're gonna be leaders and we're gonna be helping people free themselves, especially if we have Black customers and you're serving Black clients, you need to do better than this. That is not acceptable. Or don't take those clients. Do not take their money. If you don't want to do the work of leading these hard conversations in your big ass Facebook group, don't fucking take Black people's money. Let a Black coach or somebody else who's qualified coach those people. Because if you don't know what you're doing, then it's not safe and it's not fair. But for some reason, she didn't want those discussions going on. So her response was, one, she's sickened and she did an IG post about George Floyd. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm instantly pissed because I don't give a fuck if you did an IG. This is a free group. I'm confused because everybody in that group paid to be a part of it. So it's not a free group. And the whole point of her talking about that is she's getting defensive and saying, this is a free group that we provide to you as a service. And maybe she's saying that because it's B School alumni, so it's people who paid her in the past. I don't know, but that instant rage, just so y'all know, Black people don't take kindly to that. Don't talk to me about a free group or what it costs you to manage this group, right? There are way bigger shit going on in the world. Like, don't talk to me about that because that's the problem. Again, you care more about the fact that you're paying for this group and you're being inconvenienced right now by having to manage this discussion. And that's more important to you than the Black people whose money you've taken who are hurting really badly at this time. And for obvious good reason. Okay? And then the third thing, talk about it on your own page. Yes, she said this. I will post the actual screenshot. She said, go talk about this in your own communities. This is a group for business. We're not talking about it here. Number 4, our team is not available. We're not working this weekend. And so we can't manage these discussions. And so I'm turning comments off, right? So she shut down the whole thing. And you know what? I guarantee you Marie's working this weekend. I guarantee you she's fucking working now. Because now she has unleashed thousands of Black people who are enraged by that response, and now you have to work. So what you should have done is inconvenienced yourself in the first place, right? And that is the difference between being a racist and being an anti-racist. Being anti-racist is not convenient.
I agree with this also, just from the perspective of like you running. Like, Marie chose to go into this field of coaching. She chose to run a Facebook group where people who are affected by all types of things in the world, whose businesses are too, are going to have these discussions. And she's over here like, well, I don't want to have to work on the weekend. And it's like, no, I mean, I know that I'm feeding into hustle culture when I say this, but when you're a business owner, you work on the weekend. It just happens. It's just like, especially if an unforeseen circumstance happens and your customers need something and the people who paid you money and are relying on you need something, you just got to work on the weekend sometimes. Or you have to pay someone else to do it because you already got the money from those clients. You have to, you can't just leave people hanging.
It's a form of censorship.
Exactly.
It's a form of, we're not working here this weekend, therefore we're turning this off so that we don't have to moderate, because if you turn comments off, therefore nobody can talk, right? Nobody can express their feelings in that group. So unless they are friends in, like, on Facebook separately, and they create a different group where they can just chat, they can't have those chats with those same people, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's what she did. She was just freaking out and she censored it.
If you want to create a space where you are being a coach and leading Black people and telling them to use their voice and telling them to stand up for themselves, then fucking listen to them when they use their voice. Don't shut it down because it's inconvenient and it's the weekend, so you don't have time. Fuck that. You have to be willing to have hard conversations with your racist uncle and your racist cousins and your fucking racist clients.
Even, I think people have said this about Rachel Hollis too, that like, that's, what what have you done? Like, how did you do anything? What was
right,
the like black square?
You're in a position where you have millions of followers that you could be encouraging to do very specific things. You could be encouraging them to sign petitions for specific things. You could be donating money and offering to match your followers' donations up to a certain amount. Like, you have resources that the average person doesn't have. You need to use those resources, not just like say one thing and then move on with your life. That's like, especially like when you're a millionaire, when you have millions of dollars.
Yeah, and when
like
you're
that.
someone who is like leading conferences of thousands of people, you are, obviously in such a powerful position, and obviously you must be smart to get to the point where you have millions of dollars and you have so many people who are willing to pay you. So they're not idiots, you know what I mean? They're not stupid. So this is why I don't think it was just an ignorant mistake. I think it was calculated, and obviously they miscalculated, but it was a calculated response. I don't think it just so happened.
If you're going to be conflict avoidant your whole life, then why be a coach? Why try to be this huge leader?
One of the reasons why this is disappointing about Marie is also the fact that she's done a lot more than the average guru, I guess, when it comes to, empowering women, and when it comes to empowering people of color and stuff, she has like, at least compared to Jenna Kutcher, who up until that point had no guests of color on her podcast, Marie has always had like women, because her platform is all for women, so it's very rare that she has a man on there, but she always had guests of color, and she always pushed that narrative. So it's kind of even more disappointing that almost, because it's like your expectations were higher when it comes to her, and she just failed to deliver.
So this is an article that Marin also sent me on Patreon. This is written by Erica Friday, who is also, I think, a student of Marie Forleo's. So she wrote this post, which really kind of summarized all of the conflict that went on in the Facebook group. So she was saying, like, the B School alumni group ran fine for most of the years I was part of it, from February 2015 to present. So the Facebook group, like, that was the thing with Marie being like, this is a free group. Like, it seems like a lot of people who had been part of this course in the past 5 years had heard about the reputation of how great and how useful this Facebook group is, and that was part of the reason that they joined and were willing to pay the money for the course. So it's not really a free group if everyone who pays for the course gets it. It's like maybe she didn't advertise it as something that you get with it, but it just feels like she knows that people are paying for it because they want the group. Like, I don't know how she couldn't know that.
So I think what it was basically given as a bundle, literally based on this article, and but apparently the group was started by an alumni, so it's not like it wasn't initially a thing that Marie started and wanted to offer aside the course. It was just something that people did on the side while they were doing the course, and it just like really became really good. So that's why they were keeping up with it and moderating and stuff like that. And yeah, apparently this was the best part about B School.
Yeah, and then it looks like apparently B School, the group was archived, was only open on Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern. And like she says here, that makes it inconvenient for anyone who's not in Eastern time. Once you post, you barely get any responses, and then the commenting shuts down and then reopens the next day. So your post is no longer at the top. So it's almost impossible to get responses to your questions when the group is that heavily moderated.
The censorship, because obviously I don't understand why your group should be limited to a few hours. Like, why is it not just on all the time?
Right. And then so Marie, I guess this was the statement she left.
Erica says in this article that they couldn't add anyone to the group or remove anyone from the group. So it was like, it's all in your hands, but it wasn't. So they couldn't do anything. And
anyone in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not an expert on Facebook. But I think what it was like Marie was the admin of the group, and then she left, but didn't assign any of the users to be an admin. So the group had no admins. And if everyone was just a user and there were no admins, no one had the power to add anyone to the group anymore. So like, it was just like, everyone was just stuck.
It also kind of says something about that course, doesn't it? Because like, if people are just buying the course for the Facebook group, and then you drop the Facebook group, you obviously have, like, the course will no longer be as easy to sell because it's no longer that valuable. If people can have the one thing that they've, or some people can have the one thing that they've signed up for. The one thing she's not done, that Rachel Hollis was all about, was the MLM world. And
until now,
why are you going? Yeah, why are you going?
We need to talk about that. So just so everyone knows, I'll link this blog post by Erica Friday in the description below. I'll link Marin's review in the description, and I'll link the Instagram of Rachel Rogers. Y'all should follow and support all these people. But let's talk about, the biggest new thing that I was just like, when I saw this, I was like, okay, you know what? We need to talk about Marie Forleo now. Is that Marie Forleo is teaming up with people like Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone is one of the people she's doing this with. Marie Forleo and Grant Cardone are going to be speaking at the event of none other than Eric Worre. So if you guys have seen the video I did reviewing Eric Worre's book GoPro, I did a little bit of background on Eric Worre, but he is basically like the king of network marketing coaches. So he used to be part of Legal Shield and that MLM. And now his whole career is that he founded this company called Network Marketing Pro. And what he does is he doesn't even sell for MLMs anymore or anything. He just coaches people on how to recruit more people. So he's like a pyramid that encapsulates the pyramid. He's like that bad of a dude. And so he's hosting this event called the 7-Day Recruiting Challenge, which I think I'm going to attend to do a review of it. So I need to sign up for that. Yes.
Jesus.
So until now, yeah, Marie Forleo had not been speaking at MLM conferences. She had not been plugging MLM products. It seemed like, okay, at least she's not trying to get into that world. Until now, because here we are. There she is, right there.
Yeah,
You've got Marie Forleo right next to Grant Cardone. So there's Grant right here. There's Marie. Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins' best friend, is here.
Oh, I don't like him at all. I don't know what it is about him, but I can't get on board. But like I don't have any dirt on him or anything, but I just there's something.
But, I would recommend. Do you watch the channel CoffeeZilla?
Oh, sometimes.
Yeah, he's done a couple of videos on Dean Graziosi and
really?
all the shady stuff he's been doing. Yeah, Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins have been tight lately, and they've been, out there scamming people together.
He sounds like such a car salesman to me.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he actually, I did see an interview with Dean Graziosi. I'm surprised Marie is doing this. I don't know what she's thinking. Is this like a desperate move? Is she closing down B School and it's a desperate move?
Or is she trying to, because like to an extent, the only way to really make money in network marketing is to sell to network marketing companies and people, instead of like, if you're going to do like what Rachel Hollis did and speak on stage at Beachbody conferences, she got paid, $150,000 or something like that to do it. Wow. So it's like, that's how you make money, is selling your service outside of the company to the company. And I think Marie's probably realized that, because, that's what Grant Cardone does. He speaks with World Financial Group and stuff like that. And yeah, so she's getting involved in this, and it seems like there's just more and more nails going into her coffin.
Yeah, it sounds like they just end up drinking their own Kool-Aid so bad, because I don't have another explanation for her, at least.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure I would say the same about Grant Cardone. I feel like he does sound like a scammer.
Yeah, I think he's been a scammer from the beginning.
Yeah, Marie's definitely not that kind of level of scammer. So
yeah.
Is she drinking her own Kool-Aid, or what's going on here? Because like she must know. She must know what she do. Or is she that, tone deaf now? Is that what happened? Is she too rich and she's like not realizing?
I think it's a thing where it's like people say like money corrupts people. Once you get so successful, you lose touch with like how money works to the average person, and you see a big opportunity and you take it.
I think this is kind of sad when it comes to Marie Forleo, because she does have a YouTube channel, but she does have very good advice. Like she goes in depth, like even in her I don't know what she calls it, but she has this show where she calls people. So people would send a question and their phone number, and she would call them in the show, and she'd be like, okay, so what's your question? And basically have a chat, and she's trying to help them out. So you can see that she's actually helping people. She's got a very good, even the book is very motivational. I'll tell you that. She's not as good a writer as Rachel Hollis, but it's motivational. Like she knows how to motivate, and she's way more aware of what she's saying than others. But she does have valuable advice. She gives people advice about websites and how to, she's like, this is what you need to do about your website. Your website doesn't look quite right, and you're lacking this and that. She's telling people how to do things that is like a different, not just have a morning routine. She's actually like against morning routines and stuff like that. She's made a video about that.
That's good, because I do not have a morning routine.
Yeah, she's like, she said this bullshit. It's actually really funny. Have you seen it?
Forget about the overly complex morning routines and evening routines. Sometimes we in the personal development world, we can take things a little bit too far. People want you to spend an hour meditating, and then a half hour journaling, and then an hour working out, and then another hour on your gratitudes, and then you need to go forage for acai berries, and then you need to put them in a bowl that you threw yourself on the pottery wheel, and then you need to do a coconut pull. I did not have a morning routine. I did not have an evening routine. My only routine was this. It was working my damn ass off in every nook and cranny of time that I could find when I was not at my day job.
You're right. This video is true. Like, I don't have a morning routine. I don't have an evening routine. Last night, Tyler was like so impressed with how I could, like, it was like 1 a.m. and I'm still working. I'm like, work. And he was like, I'm going to go to bed. And I was like, you know what? I should go to bed too. And then like 10 seconds later, I was just in the bed. And he was like, how did you do that? Like, to take my time? And I'm like, no, if I work and I sleep. Those are my two modes. And I don't have a routine in the middle. It doesn't help me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I agree with that. The obsession with routines is it's for some people they can be really helpful, but I don't think they're as necessary as a lot of people make them out to be.
My morning routine is wake up and have coffee, I guess. In that sense, she's not trying to sell you herself.
Overall consensus, I feel like with Marie Forleo so far is like, her YouTube channel seems pretty good. Her business advice seems pretty good. Her handling of the Facebook group and her performative allyship is terrible. She really needs to work on all of that. She has not done a good job of providing that value to those customers. And now she's starting to get into the network marketing and MLM world, and it's scaring me. And I guess we need to kind of see where this goes, because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. So we're going to have to see what she says at Eric Worre's event to find out for sure. But I'm not happy she's getting involved in that. There's some value, and it's a thing where it's like, I'll never come on here and say this person is all good or all bad, except maybe Tony Robbins. But yeah, it seems like she's got some value to offer, but also it seems like she's also kind of like with Rachel Hollis, seems like she's starting to squander some of that potential in the name of making extra money. That's kind of how it's coming across.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So everyone, don't forget to check out the video on Cam's channel, where we are going to be talking about Marie's book, Everything is Figureoutable, and comparing it to Rachel's 3 self-help books and things like that. So if you're interested in that, you're going to want to head over to her channel, which is linked in the description below. Thank y'all for watching.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to leave a comment below if you enjoyed this video. And don't forget to check out all the links in the description below. The biggest links you need to check out are my Patreon supporters. All of them are listed in the description below, and top tier patrons who give $5 a month and up have their own small businesses and things like that linked in the description below as well. They're awesome small business supporters. And guys, I really, really, really appreciate your support so much. It means a ton to me. So everyone, please check out them. They're listed on the screen. Thank you guys so, so much. Also, in the description below, my newest book, The Love of Senior Dogs, a book which is a collection of 12 poems, 12 art pieces, all about senior age dogs and the love they have to give. That book, the pre-order is linked in the description below. On the website for my own small business, Forever Home Friends, which is my business producing children's books, stuffed animals, and toys based on real rescue dogs. We give 10% of our profits to local animal shelters. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, you can pre-order that new book now, linked in the description below. Thank you guys all so much for watching this video. I will see you again really soon, but in the meantime, don't forget to support small businesses. Have a great Friday.
Get you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago. You guys asked for it.